Bienvenidos rancheros al harvest season. I don't know Spanish for that. Tenemos los juegos más frescos, más calientes de aguas calientes. Hello everyone, I'm Kevin.
And I'm Jonnie.
And I started in Spanish because today we are the harvest season talking about Lonesome Village, which is a Mexican game. Like me.
Your game?
Yes, I am. Oh boy, it sure feels like it. Oh man. And I'm constantly losing too. That's the worst part. Anyway, yeah, this is the harvest season for all you non-Spanish speaking folks. We talk about farming games supposedly. So let's dive on in. Jonnie, what have you been up to? What gaming?
What have I been up to? Mm-hmm. I've been up to Marvel Snap. Marvel Snap. Like...
We got him. Welcome to the actual Marvel Snap cast.
Yes, this is why I'm really here. I'm not here to talk about Lonesome Village. I'm here to talk about Marvel Snap. It has taken over my life. It is so good. I've hit pool 3, opening some of those sweet pool 3 cards, playing a lot of different decks. It's just, I don't know. It's everything that I want in a card-based game. It's just the best.
It's so good. If Al were here, he'd be part of the Snapcast because he's in there too. So okay, let me. It's also consumed my phone. I'm not a big mobile gamer, but oh man, Marvel Snap is just eating me. It's great. Okay,
right.
Let's describe it for folks who don't know, because you probably have seen ads for they're all over the place. People might be annoyed by it, etc. Basically, there are 3 locations, and you're throwing down cards with powers and effects to win the locations. Your number's bigger than theirs, and that's kind of how it works. It's straightforward, but it's a lot of fun.
A lot of depth in the gameplay, and 6 turns. Like, games take 5 minutes to play. It's just
good.
It's so good. So good.
Yeah.
I recently opened Wong, and he's very powerful, so I've been having a lot of fun with him recently.
Very nice. I just hit pool 3 myself. So I'm just starting to get the good stuff. Just starting. Still, I'm still running Infinite. That's my consistent thing right now, but I'm hoping to get Patriot and run that stuff. I want Doom and Ultron and all that good stuff.
Yeah, so sweet. So many good cards. And I think the fact that they do a lot of the characters that aren't Cyclops justice. Like, the effects feel relevant to the card that they are. So, Cyclops just... Why doesn't he have an ability?
Yeah, you're not wrong. It is fun to see how the characters were reflected in their abilities. Like, Wolverine doesn't die, or Nightcrawler can move, and all that fun stuff. It's also fun to see the deep Marvel pulls they bring out.
Yeah, there's a lot of characters that I'm like, who is that? And then you end up in Wikipedia rabbit holes learning about a whole bunch of characters you never knew about.
X-Men have a lot of losers, and I know a lot of those losers. But even I didn't know who the heck Strong Guy was.
It's even funnier when those weird characters are like surprisingly good cards, so you see them all the time. Because I have to say, Strong Guy, someone I had not heard of before.
Oh man, and it's like, because people hear Marvel, MCU is the thing now, right? But it's nice because this goes a little more traditional with their like more comic booky art and appearances and such.
Have you got into much into the variants yet? The variant art cards?
A few. I mean, obviously there's a lot of good variants. That's one thing we didn't mention. This is all free to play. But this is where they get you, because you can buy cards. You will get the cards for free, but you can buy prettier artworks of them with money or paid currency.
The pixel variants in particular. I have a pixel variant Korg that is just chef's kiss.
Oh my gosh. The pics there's variants where they're all pixel animated, and it's great, especially me. I'm a pixel artist, so it's so good. The babies are pretty good, the little chibi ones. I'm trying to remember when I have a chibi Colossus. I have this just really pretty Jessica Jones. She has a lot of good artworks. I don't know why.
Yeah. And a good card as well.
Yeah, she is. She's a great card. But yeah, no, there's so many good variants. I'm trying to think. Yeah, Jessica I actually bought. I think Colossus I got for free. I'm trying to remember what other one I got. I bought another one, but I can't remember now. But whatever. Yeah, no, it's tempting to put a little money in to get some of those variants. Their prices are a little steep though. But
they are a little steep, but
yeah, but
I guess that's how they make money, right? They get you with the good gameplay, and then they're like, "But you'll stay to dump money into the cosmetics that don't mean anything whatsoever."
Yeah, and which is fine.
Yep.
Because it's a great game and everything's free and just good stuff. But yeah, Marvel Snap. You guys should. I recommend it to all listeners because it is such a good game. And like you said, the 6-turn game, it's over in like just a snap, and oh, it's so much fun. And they're supporting it. We got like our first big update incoming, they told us, and we'll be able to play against each other soon and stuff like that. It's all PvP, but it's all random PvP. You don't know who you're playing against, just randos on the internet.
Yes. And before this becomes too much of a Marvel Snapcast, the other game I've been playing, which I would not recommend to our listeners, is the new Pokemon. I honestly don't have a lot positive to say about the new Pokemon. It kind of just sucks across the board. Like,
well,
I never thought I would say this, but I don't want open world. Open world sucks. They haven't done it well, and I'm not into it. I'm really struggling with this generation.
Overall, I'm pretty disappointed too with this gen, which is a lot for me because for people who may not know us, Jonnie and I often come from opposite ends of the review spectrum. He's usually a lot more critical. I'm usually a very optimistic sort of guy. So when our paths and reviews collide, that I think that says something, right?
I think so. When you're down my end, it's not good for a game.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, exactly. But that's okay because we have Marvel Snap to save us all.
Exactly. But what have you been playing? What have you been playing that's not Pokemon?
Or Marvel Snap? Let me see. I mean, it feels like those two have been the big things. There is one game I can probably talk about. Sonic Frontiers. For people, I think people who listen to this probably know we did an episode on it. I'm a big Sonic guy. And for people who don't know, Sonic games can be really good, really bad, somewhere in between. It's always a real crapshoot with it. Sonic Frontiers is good? Question mark. It's very different because I guess right next to Scarlet Violet, released like a week before it's also like the first open world Sonic game, which is weird, but it works well. So I didn't sink that much time into it because Pokemon came out, but it goes fast. Sonic goes fast in the open world, and it's enjoyable for the most part. It's very different. Like he has combat now. He can do combos and skill trees and stuff like that. It's a very different experience.
Weird.
But I don't hate it, right? It's not exactly why I come to a Sonic game, but like props to them for doing something different and coming out okay. Yeah, I can't give too many detailed thoughts because like I said, I've only scratched the surface. But overall, I think it's had really positive reviews across the board, especially for a Sonic game at least. So, good on Sonic team for coming out with a good game this time.
Yeah, and it did seem like it had a lot of potential, right? Because the ability to go fast in open world feels like it's ripe for doing some sweet combos and some really awesome movement abilities, and so it's kind of pleasing to hear that it came together. Because I have to say, based on some of the early stuff, the perception was pretty low, and I feel like maybe that helped a little bit, where everyone sort of maybe came in with slightly lower expectations, and if they knocked it out of the park, then awesome, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, no, good for them. Like it's, I'm just trying to think how to describe it because it's so interesting, right? Just running really fast and the way they've placed everything, it's nothing's really weighing you down, and they let you skip lots of things, so it's just pleasant. So good on them. But yeah, I won't go too deep into it because I could, Sonic's a Vice. But yeah, I think that's roughly all I've been up to. Oh, wait, and I'm looking at the news and I almost forgot. November's been a big month of gaming for me. I played Spiritfarer. I started Spiritfarer. Did you play Spiritfarer at all, Johnny?
I have not played Spiritfarer. It is on my list, but
Okay.
like most people, lists seem to get longer than they do shorter. So
Right. Of course.
yeah.
Of course. Yeah. I mean, I'm not going to go into it because Al and Kelly did episodes on it, but I mean, it's a good game. It has incredible animation, just gorgeous animation. I haven't gotten too deep into it, and I know supposedly it's going to make me cry. It hasn't happened yet, but yeah, we'll see. Spiritfarer is good. On the recommend. But okay, that's it for real for me. And I think in general that's us, right? In which case we've got news according to Al on this piece of paper that he scrolled notes on. Let's dive on in. So the first bit of news: wholesome snack. What would you guess wholesome snack means, Johnny?
I mean, to me, it sounds like a eating-based game that just involves me lying on the couch. Or maybe it's a game about me. I consider myself to be a wholesome snack, so I'm gonna say someone's made a game about me.
There you go. Well, you're a bit closer on the second one because it's actually it's a mini direct in the Game Awards. What it is, the wholesome games that do their wholesome directs, they've teamed up with the Game Awards and will be doing a whole bunch of stuff in there. It's December 8th, which is in a couple of weeks. So it's the Game Awards edition. So they got a fancy little cat with a bow tie on their logo. But yeah, it should be fun. The Wholesome Direct is, well, more than anything, it's a whole week of newsfeed for Al, so tune into this podcast to find out what goes on there. That's the real news, that Al doesn't have to write down anything that week. But yeah, it's December 8th, and we look forward to see what fun announcements. Will we hear about Haunted Chocolatier? Probably not, but
that's the one that's going to keep people talking to December 8th, right?
Yeah, exactly, right. We'll probably see, I don't know, maybe Turnip Boy. I don't know. There's not much to talk about Turnip Boy. Whatever. All right, but you know what else has news and is not as mysterious? Disney Dreamlight Valley. Now, this is a game you know, Johnny. I heard.
I love this game. And I'm very excited for this update. So, this is the update that's bringing Toy Story. I think we talked about it briefly in the last show. We talked about Disney Dreamlight Valley, that the Toy Story update was coming. It is now coming, and I'm looking for the date. December 6th, everything happening kind of on the same week. December 6th, Woody and Buzz are coming. Presumably that will come with some more sort of main story additions and a few other things. And one of the new locations to go to through the castle, if you've played some of that. Yeah.
You go through. You like, I'm watching the trailer. You're playing in toy-sized world. Like, I don't know how it works, but you're. Okay, first of all, you're like in Andy's room, but then you can also shrink down to toy size? I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm just looking at the go ahead.
But yeah, I'm not sure how exactly they'll implement it, but usually when you go and visit each of the worlds where the characters come from, there's a bit of a gimmick or something related to that world. So, and actually in the trailer they show, I think it's Buzz talking to Ursula, and they do seem smaller in size. They seem more sort of like Wall-E size, so they do seem kind of toy size, rather than sort of like Mickey and Goofy, who are more human size or people size, whatever the right word is for that. But yeah, I'm excited for this update.
I mean, yeah, no, I love Toy Story so much. Yeah, but no, that's good stuff. And man, the game looks great. Like, every time I see more info or more updates about Disney Dreamlight Valley, it just looks better and better. So good on them for making an actual good game and not just a cash grab. But yeah, that's again December 6th. That update will drop for the Toy Story Adventure. And next on our list, hey, Spearfarer, I know that game. They are updating the soundtrack. Is that soundtrack free? They've added some more music to it. And let's see, I'm trying to see. Oh yeah, you can just listen to it for free on Spotify and Bandcamp and all that stuff. It has beautiful music, as you can imagine. The beautiful art and everything else about the game is beautiful. So go check that out, Spiritfarer.
And so if you see someone randomly crying on the bus, they're probably just re-listening to Spiritfarer music.
Yep. Oh man. I can't wait to report back with all the tears I've shed. And actually no, I was gonna say speaking of tears that have been shed. No, there's nothing wrong with this game. Bear and Breakfast, a game I've talked about on this very show. What they're actually doing is removing tears because they're updating. They have given us a little roadmap as to what's ahead. Have you seen or touched Bear and Breakfast at all, Johnny?
I have listened to the episode on Bear and Breakfast, and that's about as close as I've got.
Well, that's good enough. So Switch version did come out after that episode. And as with all Switch ports and versions, there's bugs. But basically, the roadmap they're giving us, they're just trying to fix all the bugs on the PC and the Switch. They're eventually trying to get it where everything's concurrent. They are giving us, in the winter, a highly requested game feature. I don't know what it is. They're not telling us what it is. They're giving more decorative stuff, improving controller support, and actually gonna give some story content later. So that's cool. It's not just performance updates. They're actually gonna bring us more stuff in the future. That's pretty exciting for people who enjoy that game. I will probably get back to that once that update drops, because Bear and Breakfast is a very, very charming game. No dates yet, just winter for the first one, and then later in the next 2023, for the other updates. So that's Bear and Breakfast. And next up, Orange Season. Okay, this doesn't help because it's a bit of a name change, right? They had, was it? Fantasy Farming, and now it's just Orange Season. It was Fantasy Farming, Orange Season, but now they're just doing Orange Season, so I'm more confused because I don't remember what this... I remember the art, but I just don't remember what game this was.
I have been looking through stuff of this game, and I do not recognize this game at all. I'm just trying to determine which name was worse, Fantasy Farming or Orange Season, because neither is great.
It wasn't Final Fantasy Farming, just Fantasy Farming.
Oh my god.
See, and I think this is actually why they cut it out. They said the name change was needed. I agree. And so they dropped new key artwork. Oh man, I have to go back. Basically, it sounds like they are really just kind of revamping the whole game. So yeah, I don't know. Okay, I'm looking at the previous key artwork. It looks like they are focusing more on the animals. I don't know. But hey, I mean, either way, I mean, point is it'll take longer, no doubt, because they're just revamping everything, it sounds like. I think they're putting on a new engine too, and that's probably a big part of the updates. So, wishing them luck. Hope it comes out okay. more than soon. Okay, right? That's all we can hope for.
Yep. Now the real news. This is the big news of the episode. Stardew Valley, the one farming game to rule them all, has a new plush, and it's an XL chick plush, and this thing looks incredible.
Move over, Pokemon Life-size plushes. You've been dethroned. It's a golden chick. It's very big. It's $45. What size is it? I need to know. Hold on, I'm clicking. It's a pillow plush, so presumably one you can rest your head on or next, or lay comfortably on with you on the couch. The description just says 100% perfection. That's correct. Oh. okay, it's about 12 inches tall, so that's a foot wide. Which is like what? I'm trying to think meters, like 30 centimeters, something like that.
Yeah, a bit over 30
Yeah.
centimeters.
Yeah. 10
So it's a
inches
big
wide.
plush. It's not a
12 inches long.
huge plush, but it is a big plush.
Yeah, so it's like a pillow plush. So think of a
Yeah.
pillow. That's an apt way of doing it. The chicken looks very fat. It's yellow and it's adorable. I mean, you guys know Stardew Valley. Oh my gosh, they have like 5 different chicken plushes. I'm just looking through this. It's gonna come. It's available already at $45. It is in stock. So run to the internet to get your chicken plush. Oh man, they got like oh man. Okay, I'm going down a rabbit hole of Stardew merch. No, this is not good. Go get your chickens, your giant chickens. And yeah, that'll be. Oh wait, no, there's one more. Almost snuck in. Going from the very big to the very little. Actually, I don't know if they're little, but it's called Gordlets. It's a new game. It's a building. Did you like Animal Crossing New Horizons, but maybe want a better-ish experience? I don't know. That's not necessarily true. New Horizons is okay-ish. Anyways, this game is a building game. You build an island. You build a city. You build all farms and lakes, like Zoo Tycoon style type building. It looks like.
Yeah, it's got very tycoon game or like cute cottagecore Sim City vibes going on.
There you go. All those buzzwords. Yeah, they describe themselves as a city building sandbox. The tagline is like, there's no objective, no points, just building. Except that once you build the things, the namesake Gordlets, these little vegetable creatures, like what was the name of that grape boy or turnip boy? Can't remember the other one, the grape guy. Little vegetable people come in and interact with all the stuff you build. They do the farming. They live in little houses. It's really cute looking. It looks like a very, very zen game. And I'm sure a lot of people enjoy that. You know what it reminds me of? Like, not the genre, but maybe the niche it's trying to fill. Have you seen or played Power Washing Simulator?
Yeah, I played a little bit of Power Washing Simulator, and I agree. It feels like it's trying to exist in that game you turn on, can play for, 5 minutes, and then all of a sudden 3 hours have passed, and you wonder what's happened with your life.
Yeah. And the good kind, the stress-free kind, not like Marvel Snap where 3 hours pass, but it's lots of ups and downs in those 3 hours.
Those 3 hours pass and you're still at the same rank somehow, and you're like, what have I been doing?
It's the worst. Oh, welcome to the Marvel Snapcast. It is. Oh, and as for date, it is quote unquote coming soon. Yeah. So Gordlets, we'll keep an eye out on that so we can get zen with our cottagecore games. Because they're not always very zen, much like Lonesome Village. Oh, Lonesome Village. All right. So okay, let's start with the overview, the elevator pitch, shall we, for the listener who hasn't played. Lonesome Village is, like the name implies, you're a little coyote. I don't even remember if it has a name. You arrive in this village that is very lonely because nobody's there. It turns out all the villagers have been sealed up in this scary tower near the town, and you as a coyote go in and you start rescuing these villagers by solving puzzles.
The coyote does have a name. Your name is Wes.
Wes? Okay, I missed that completely. Alrighty then. So that's the elevator pitch. And so you're kind of rinsing and repeating this, where you go in, solve puzzles, rescue villagers. All right, let's start with a general opinion here. What are your thoughts, Johnny? Give it to me.
I think I'm a little mixed on the game, and when I was reflecting on why it's mixed, a lot of the issues just come down to not great UI design, or the sort of interfaces that you use to interact with the world are just lacking a little bit, and it makes everything a little bit more frustrating than it needs to be. I've also had a few crashes, and because the game doesn't have an autosave feature, and I've lost some progress that way, those have been sort of the things that have taken away from their experience. But when I kind of get past those, I actually think the core game here is pretty good, if lacking a little bit of polish.
Mm-hmm. Question, are you playing on Steam or Switch?
I'm playing on Xbox.
Whoa, never mind. I didn't know it was on that many consoles or platforms. Okay, I'm playing on Switch. This is a good reference. Okay. All right. So to bounce off that, I also have mixed feelings. I like to, I think in my head, I call it a good game with some very, very rough edges all around, right?
Yep.
That's, because I feel like this game, you can see it has a bit of ambition and you can see it reaching for that, but it only makes it like 80% of the way there. And then it stumbles that last 20%.
It really stumbles.
So like, oh man, the UI is probably the biggest technical thing that I totally agree with you. Going through menus is not easy or fun.
Or consistent.
Or consistent. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. So, oh gosh.
I mean, just to maybe talk a little bit about the UI and jump into it a little bit. One of the biggest problems is that there's just no text on anything, and so you're trying to determine different items or select between things, and it's hard to see sometimes even what's highlighted by your menu selection, and so navigating around is just really difficult. And the inconsistency I talked about before, the map, depending on the level of the map you're at, like sometimes I'll press the B button and it will go back, and sometimes I have to specifically select the back button for it to go back, and it drives me crazy. I can't close a map in a game, which I've been doing for 30 years.
Right. I think that's like definitely the biggest example of the problem here, right? Where you can't just push the B button to exit a menu or whatever, right? Like even to scroll, sometimes you have to select. There's like left and right arrows, and you can't just move left to right or push L or R button or whatever. You have to like move your cursor to the arrows and select it, and it's not always clear you're on that menu because on that item because it's like supposed to be highlighted, but it's not a very clear highlight. It's grating, right? Like it's
very grating.
Yeah, right. It like so compared to another game, Scarlet and Violet, I think has more egregious technical issues, but Lonesome Village has just like a lot of little issues that build up and become grating. So yeah, that's really aggravating. And oh man, so you have an inventory in this game with items you collect and you know there's a lot of quests and whatnot. And there's this storage chest because your item has a capacity, right? Well, you have to do it item by item, and you have to exit out, and it exits out of the chest every time you transfer over an item. So it's really, really draining to store items or take them out.
It's so slow, and once you kind of get past the first chapter, your inventory fills up quickly because you've got a bunch of tools that, in theory, you need to be carrying around at all times, and that is half your inventory. Between the spade and the axe and the pickaxe and the camera, and it's just... So you're constantly having to dump things into the storage chest, and it is such a slow process. It drives you crazy.
Yep. And you know what? I'm going to use that to segue. You know what other game you have your inventories taken up by your tools? Animal Crossing, because boy, do these developers like Animal Crossing. I think it's pretty clear. Like they drew a lot of inspiration from Animal Crossing and from Legend of Zelda. I think those are the two biggest inspirations.
Yeah, I would agree.
When because you can shake trees in this game, it's just like Animal Crossing where they land in the same spots. You can get branches or you can get coins, just like Animal Crossing. Right, and so to get into the gameplay loop, right? Because they're advertising as somewhat of a blend between them. They say a puzzle game with a lot of social sim aspect or whatever. And so you have your little village, and then you have the tower with the puzzles, right? And a lot of those puzzles in the tower feel Zelda-y at times. Some there's like laser puzzles or slide puzzles. Some of them are a bit more maybe traditional puzzles. Like you're trying to there's this one famous puzzle like donut rings where you're trying to stack them. You can't put one on top, the bigger ones on top of the smaller ones, and trying to move them over. That one showed up. And just a wide variety of puzzles. Which
it's an exceptionally wide variety of puzzles, right? It was probably one of the things that was most surprising to me. Is I was expecting the puzzles to feel very samey after maybe 10 floors or something like that. But I'm 20 plus floors in, and I feel like every puzzle has been very different. Not necessarily executed amazingly, but it's pretty ambitious for the number of different puzzles and number of different mechanics or objects that they had to put into the game to make all of the puzzles work.
Yeah, I agree.
And I think in general the puzzles are done in a relatively good way, where there's sort of this escalating difficulty where the first version will be pretty straightforward, and the last versions aren't. I wouldn't say any of the puzzles have been hard, but they do get a lot more complicated by the final version.
Yeah, for sure. And there have been a few that have challenged me, or generally took me a minute to solve. And what's nice is they do let you skip puzzles. They have these little skip tickets you can use to just skip them, which is very nice.
Is that what that was?
Yes.
I always saw the ticket thing and I had no idea what it was, but okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. We'll get. Okay, that's a point I need to address later for sure. But the puzzles are the strong point, I think, of this game, I would say. Because it's a wide variety, and to kind of describe the layout, each floor has a puzzle, and you rescue a villager on each floor when you clear the puzzle, and you go on and so forth. You said you're in the 20s? That's where you made it?
Yeah, I think so.
I think I was like 17. I was approaching 20. But so I stopped around when I got the gardening, because I felt like I needed to address farming for this podcast. But let's talk about the village, because that's the other half of the game, right? So yeah, the way this game looks and the way it's presented, I expected Animal Crossing Lite maybe, but it doesn't feel very social. It's just very questy, even in the village. All the villagers ask you to do something, and in return you get access to a shop or a feature or learn a new thing, and all that's just to go back to to get past some obstacle in the tower and then keep going solving puzzles up there.
Yeah, and you get the hearts, right, which are another thing that are needed for progressing up the tower. And just talking about the quest system has reminded me of another huge annoyance in this game, is that when you talk to a character that has a quest for you, if you don't have the item they are specifically looking for to complete the quest, you have a very awkward interaction where they just act disappointed that you didn't immediately have the quest item. And it just makes me feel bad all the time. Like, they're like, oh, okay then, I guess I'll talk to you later. And it's like, no, I'm going to go do the quest. Like, you have to give me like 5 minutes. It's... The quest, a lot of the quests feel awkward. Not the quests themselves, but like there's no quest log, for instance, right? Like sometimes I have to remember what this person wanted or where I had to go to do this thing. And like you said, if you talk to them at all, there's no cutesy dialogue really. It's just, hey, did you do the thing? Oh, no, that's too bad. Or if they don't have anything, it's just like, hey, nice to see you. So this is probably one of my bigger gripes of the game. Just that the village doesn't feel very villagey. At least, again, when the presentation very much wants me to believe it's going to be Animal Crossing-ish,
Because they call it a social sim, but it doesn't feel very social sim at all.
No, and I think one of the biggest reasons it doesn't feel social is you don't see the other villagers interacting with each other. They all kind of have their zone, and they sort of just wander off to their zone and stay there. I don't know about you, but I haven't seen any of them interacting.
That is very true. I didn't even think about that. Yeah, no, they're the villagers pretty much just feel like another progression puzzle type thing aside from the tower. Which is a shame because the art in this game we haven't talked about is really, really cute. Really well done. It's very charming, and it looks like the kind of game where you'd enjoy talking to the villagers and it'd be a cute little town, but yeah, it just falls a bit short. Right, nothing, like I said, nothing egregious, but just that last 20% mark. And I wouldn't even feel as bad if some of these rougher edges, like how they respond to quests, or again navigating your inventory to fulfill those quests. And sometimes they're not even very clear, right? Because like there's one shop where you need to gather certain items, and it doesn't tell you like what the items are, just shows you the picture. Like I said, no text, right? So you kind of have to fumble around to figure out what the item is. I don't know if you remember, Johnny, there's like, did you fix the windmill? That was a quest.
Yes.
Right?
The two different sorts of logs, and you couldn't actually tell.
Yes, because yeah, you need to fix a windmill, and you need two different kinds of woods, but up to that point, you'd only been using one kind, and you kind of have to stumble around and figure out yourself. There's another like palm tree by the beach you can cut down. But no real guidance on that. Which and again, not asking for hand holding, but just a little UI like text would be nice, right? Saying, oh, that's palm wood or something. That's yeah. So it's a little awkward. But I'm trying to. Do you have any other thoughts on all this, Johnny? I'm trying to.
I think just to circle back to what you said about the villages, is I think the design of the villages is really good. So they're all, different forms of animals, and I think the designs of those is really strong, right? I think it's one of the most appealing parts of the games. There's a lot of diversity, it seems. So when you rescue villages, you kind of end up rescuing like a whole family or a whole household at a time, and there's a lot of diversity in the makeups of those households. There's at least one character I know who I've seen that's in a wheelchair, which I feel like you just don't see all of that often.
No, I didn't get that, but that's nice.
Yeah, so I think there's a lot of good aspects, and the makeup of the town and the art style is really good. I just wish it felt more lived in, and there was just more dialogue or more things happening. Probably the area that is the strongest is just to the right of the village. There's a pond, and the village elder and his son moves in there, and you'll see the sort of I think they're turtles,
Yes.
and the son will be sort of like wandering around by the lake, and that's one of those times I think where it does feel more lived in, and that's probably one of the more enjoyable areas to hang out in and fish in and experience, because it does feel lived in, and the main town just kind of doesn't have that, because everyone seems to be sort of in their house and they never really move.
Yes, I totally agree. Fully agree on all of that. One thing I do want to add, although it doesn't feel lived in, I will give them props to how they expand the town, right? Because that's kind of the premise, right? Where it's an empty town and you're trying to fill the villagers. And it does start expanding over time. You start seeing a little bit more hustle and bustle. You know, like you said, no one's interacting or really walking around, but you see these shops open. You can go into all of these houses. You do see a few characters out here and there. And I think that is a fun little aspect where you feel like you're actually making a difference and saving the town, as it were.
Yeah, and I think something else that adds to that, I don't know if you came across them, but there are some characters that you don't rescue from the tower. They were out in the world, and you can find them or rescue them out in the world, and that's I think there's a lot of little secrets out in the village, which is quite nice. And those are really fun to stumble across and to find. So I think those are some other strong aspects.
Oh, I encountered one. There's like little switches that you fix a lighthouse and you get a little platypus guy.
Yep.
Um, yeah, and actually that reminds me, the platypus guy, he sells you art, which you use to decorate your house, which is something we didn't address at all. You get a house and you can decorate it Animal Crossing style. Um,
Yeah,
I
I would say it's less Animal Crossing and more Stardew Valley, right? Where
Oh,
it's
there you go.
kind of
Yes.
one of those things where you can just buy stuff from various villages and you can plonk it down in what feels like a sort of predetermined layout. And, it's not something I really got into in Stardew. I did the quest that I had to do for it in this game, and I don't really see myself touching it again.
No, I fully agree. Yeah, it is there, but the game isn't pushing you to do it, right? Like
No.
the game is very much directing you towards the tower and doing the puzzles. That's a side thing, but you don't even spend time in your house at any point, unless you go in there voluntarily. And the resources to buy stuff, the coins are kind of hard to come by at times, and you need to spend them on other items to do quests for other villagers. So it's definitely not at the forefront. Which is a shame because it was a nice touch, but again, just fell a little flat. I'm trying to. Oh, yes. On a similar note, there was a farming aspect right next to your house. There's a little garden character that you unlock, and you can farm veggies and fruits and such. It's pretty basic. You dig a hole, you plant, you water, and it just happens over time. You don't even have to water multiple times.
Well, let's be honest, right? You very slowly dig a single hole, and then you have to very slowly dig it. Like it is the slowest farming process
Oh,
I have seen.
it is hard. It is
And they
painful.
have a lot of plots. To fill all of the plots, I imagine it would take 20 minutes to go through and just dig all of the holes.
That's generous. I could easily see half an hour. Oh man, how could we not talk? We completely missed this. One of the biggest, most egregious things, in my opinion, equipping tools, right? Because this is where it
Oh,
becomes super painful. So you can only use one tool or item at a time, just one, right? And so you have to go to your inventory, you go to the item, and you like equip it. You get out of that menu, you push a button to use it, and then so in the case of the gardening, you equip your shovel. You dig your hole, then you have to go into the menu, select the seeds, get out of the menu, plant the seed, then go back into the menu, equip the watering can, hop out, and then water again. And it's all just a slow mm, molasses speed process. It is a chore to get like 5 plots filled and growing. Thankfully you don't have to do anything past that, but oh my goodness, it is. Yeah, it's not just a garden thing. It's just the how the UI thing, like you said, just very awkward and slow.
yeah, not being able to use the bumpers to switch between items, and that is probably the biggest shame of this game. Is I feel like with just a few of those quality of life,
Mm-hmm.
additions, I could see past a lot of the challenges that I have with the game.
Absolutely.
If I could just use something to quick select a tool that would make the farming feel less egregious, and the farming isn't a central, component of the game.
Mm-hmm.
It's something you need to do to help complete some quests and some of those sorts of things. But I could kind of get past that stuff and keep playing, but it's just hard when I feel like kind of any time I leave the tower, the momentum that I have sort of gets broken, and I kind of like, well, maybe while I'm planting, I can also play a game of Marvel Snap in the background, and then 20 minutes later, I'm just playing Marvel Snap, and my plants are sitting there unwatered.
Yep. Yep. Yeah, I fully agree, right? But to bring it back a little bit, like we're hard. All this stuff is really prevalent in the village. But in the tower where the puzzles are, the game's pretty good. I enjoy the puzzles, just going through them. And it's fun and yeah, and even in
And
the
I think
village. You go ahead.
I was just going to say, I think the story behind it is actually kind of interesting. As I sort of reflect on the game, like the puzzles sort of kept me going, but I also think the story behind whatever is happening in the tower has some amount of intrigue to it, right? It's a little bit darker than you get in your standard cottagecore style game.
It does, yeah. Oh, I forgot I was going to make that joke, because when you start the game, it shows, like, what happens. There's the little village, and then they get attacked, or something happens. They get with a cult. I was going to say it was the Cult of the Lamb cult, because the symbol looks very similar to the Cult of the Lamb.
It does!
And they're cute little animals with hoods. It really feels like the Cult of the Lamb attacked. But yeah, no, as Johnny says, you're trying to go, as you go through the tower, every X number of floors, you get a little bit of breadcrumbs of story, like, oh, here's a cultist guy, or here's a guy chasing a cultist guy. Sometimes you get little art scenes or stuff. So it is fun to explore that, and I would like to find out a little more of that. But yeah, just if it weren't always, such a chore to get through some, and then sometimes, in general, the writing is a little awkward. And I'm not trying to ding them, because, like I mentioned at the beginning, this is made by a Mexican team, right? Which is, I'm fully supportive of, even aside from my bias, like, I appreciate developers from not the U.S. or Japan, because we don't get enough of those, right? But it's not necessarily translations, just a lot of the writing feels very short, very brief. Could use a little more flavor, right? But that said, I mean, it's not enough to detract from how cute everything looks and the enjoyment of the puzzles, though.
Yeah, and I think a lot of the writing, to your point, it's short, and it's kind of just, it feels like a little bit of a symptom where, the game could have used sort of just 6 months more baking to round out some of those edges, and I think writing is just another one of those examples, right, where it's like actually just giving each character a slightly different way of saying goodbye, or their own piece of text if they don't have a quest to give you, or something like that would be just some of those little quality of life things, which, also understand that, it's not necessarily feasible to get games to the state that we want them in this day and age of development, with it being so much more expensive. But I think that little bit of polish would have really helped.
Yep. I agree, and I don't know how big the team is, to be honest. Like, that's a big thing. I'm curious. Let me look it up, see if I can find that. Because, I judge them on the writing, but they might not have had a dedicated writer or somebody experienced in writing. I'm curious. I don't know what size the team is. But yeah, 6 months would have done wonders for this team. But hey, good for them. Like, I didn't even know they were on out in Xbox. That's pretty good for them. Oh, here it is. Yeah, Steam, Switch, and Xbox. Also, one thing I want to note, on my Switch version, I didn't have a single crash, which was interesting. You said you had a few crashes.
Yeah, I had a few crashes, and it was mostly in menus as well. So maybe it didn't crash. Maybe I just couldn't work out how to close the menu.
Oh, that's interesting. I am trying to find the team. Okay, Ogre Pixel, and they have very cute, actually, pixelated ogre is their logo. Their team is, let's see here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 people. None of them with, there's a script writer. Okay. Well, 10 people. Okay, that's a decent, for an indie game, that's a team. Well, yeah, I mean, still, like, all in all, though, the game is, like, I still tip my hat to them, because it feels like the little engine that almost could, right? I think it's a good game. It just has a lot of rough edges.
It's an ambitious game.
Yes, absolutely.
Right? They're trying to do a lot with this game, between the different zones, all of the different puzzles. They have decorating, they have farming, they have costumes, they have quests. There are hidden puzzles out in the world. Like, there is a surprising amount going on in this game for what is a relatively small team.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I forgot about the clothing, and I switched. I used. I like the clothing too. They have cute outfits for your little coyote. I dressed as Mario. I don't know if that's available in the Xbox, but you could dress as Mario. But yeah, no, I fully agree. It's and you can feel that ambition. Like you can see everything they're trying to do, and it's admirable. Just just these little grating things. But all in all, like I still really commend them. Because especially compared to other companies that are very big with a lot of history, and they don't do as well. Pokemon, I'm talking about Pokemon. Um, but yeah, no. All in all, though, I look forward to seeing. I imagine they'll keep supporting it. They'll release patches and stuff, and I could even see them expanding upon it. Since it's puzzle driven, it's easy to just drop in more puzzles, right?
Yeah, and
So
I think that's the appeal, right? So if you've listened to this and you're still on the fence about whether or not you should buy this game, I feel like the tipping point really is the puzzles, right? If you enjoy puzzles, then this game is probably worth a look in, because it wasn't
absolutely.
too expensive. It was about $20 from memory.
Yep.
And yes, there are those frustrations, but overall, like the game is playable. The game does sort of what it says it does when you watch the trailer. Like, I'm not sitting there feeling like the trailer sold me something that didn't really manifest in the game. I actually think it sort of did a pretty accurate job of showing what the game is, and it's a nice, compelling little story to go along with it. And I think this is a studio I'd be like, excited to see what they do next, right? Because with a game that's maybe this ambitious, who knows what sort of problems they got into from a development perspective.
Oh,
Where you
absolutely.
get sort of, a year into it and you're like, man, we wish we hadn't made some of those decisions at the start, and hopefully whatever they do next time will just have some of those more refined edges.
Yes, I agree. I'm looking through their catalog. They have a few other games that I'm not familiar, but I feel like I don't know sales numbers, but I hope they do well. I think Lonesome Village. Well, obviously we're biased being on this podcast, but I feel like it got more coverage than other indie games, right? Or at least compared to the other games that Overpixel made. So I hope they do well, and I agree. I think they have a lot of promise, and either a big update to this or their next game will be very promising. So I'll definitely keep an eye out for them. Because the things they do well, they do very well. The puzzles are fun. The art is cute, very cute and charming, and the audio's nice. And yeah, I can only see them going up from here. So good on Ogre Pixel. Good on Lonesome Village. Do you have any other thoughts, Johnny?
No, I don't think I do. I guess the only other thought is that because in all of the things that were mentioned, there is a day-night cycle to the game.
Ah,
And I haven't really understood what that impacts, other than the sorts of fish that are available, because fishing
yeah,
is also in this game.
nice.
But
Animal Crossing fishing. That
yeah,
element right out of it. Yeah, no, I also wonder. That's something I wanted to bring up too. I have no idea what it's for other than fishing, because you can even the villagers are just available 24/7. They don't change positions or anything really. I don't think. Um, yeah, I don't know. I guess for flavor, but I don't know. Again, it feels like just one of those things where ambition and they just don't quite make it, just a little bit off. But I applaud them anyways.
same here.
All right then. So Lonesome Village, there you have it, folks. Go check it out if you like puzzles. Or at least go look at the pictures on Google. It's very cute. They're like Rayman. The characters don't have arms; they have little orb hands. Um, and that'll do it. All right, I guess that's an episode. So let's where can people find you, Johnny, if you want to be found? Or not on the internet.
I would say sign up for the Harvest Season Patreon. Join us in the Slack. Come talk about the puzzles of Lonesome Village. Come chat to Kevin about him playing Spiritfarer and whether or not he has cried yet. Come talk about chicken plushes from Stardew Valley. All of those sorts of things.
Oh man. We got to drop the link in the Slack. It's such a good flash.
Right?
Okay, you know what? Okay, I'm gonna take a second here. I didn't bring it up. I danced around, I think, last time I was on with Kelly. So the reason I started with Spirit Fair, okay, I haven't cried yet, but I'm gonna well up some tears here, okay, folks? So I had a dog of 17 years. His name was Dodo, a little toy poodle. 17 years, the same age as my younger brother. I was 12 when we got him. I just turned 30. And he passed away just about a month ago, right before November. And like, obviously people have lost a pet, it's grieving and whatnot, the whole kit and caboodle. So that's why I picked up Spearfair. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna, this might be cathartic. It might be super triggering. I don't know, but I couldn't resist. So that's why I dived into Spearfair. Like I said, I haven't hit anything that's really gotten a gut punch for me, but I'm sure something is gonna get me real bad. So join the Slack to see when that happens. Yes, as Johnny said, you can join the harvestseason.club. That's the email to send your complaints to Al. You can find the podcast at THS Pod on Twitter, assuming Twitter still exists when this comes out, if Elon hasn't burnt it down. You can find me there at Koopa Prez for retweeting things that I find amusing or interesting. Join the Patreon, give Al money, and get access to our Scarlet and Violet thoughts. Because boy, is this going to be an episode. Johnny and I have things to say about it. We haven't even talked about it, but we have things to say about it. Yeah, that's all. Thank you, Johnny, for being on here. Thank you, Al, for letting us on here. He's not here. I don't know if you people didn't notice. But he let us.
I'm sure they didn't notice.
We love you.
It's just a test to see if he listens all the way through when he edits it.
You know, if there's one part where he wouldn't be paying attention to, this would be it. This would be it. All right, folks. As they say on this podcast,
have a good harvest.
Yeah, I all right. That's a show.
The Harvest Season is created by Rochelle Delaney and Al McKinley, with support from our pro farmer level patrons, Kevin and Stuart. Our art is done by Micah the Brave, and our music is done by Nick Burgess. Feel free to visit our website, harvestseason.club, for show notes and links to things we discussed in this episode. Thanks for listening.
Yeah, I almost missed it too. All right. That's a show.